Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulaiman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, Breaker of the Seven Seals. Bringing our audience. 1 second here. Welcome. Welcome to our audio audience. Black Alert. Firestone. Black Alert and Firestone. Welcome. Brothers and sisters, I want to open again with Holocaust. Lest we forget. Went through 20 years of abject, horrific horror. They're trying to downplay now as slavery. Does that look like slavery to you, brothers and sisters? Slavery is economic situation. Maximum profit, minimum overhead. Capitalist dream. This is not slavery. This is horror. Horrific. When we read about the Abrahamic covenant that applies to us, it says we're being enslaved and afflicted. If the slavery meant afflicted, they wouldn't have to say afflicted. It's a separate thing. Went through 40 years of horror. The Holocaust. They're trying to downplay it. Oh, slavery. No. No. It's Holocaust. Holocaust. Come on, brothers. They're trying to downplay it. Holocaust. With slavery. No. That was just a small part. Holocaust. It's like the CRT. It wasn't a theory what they did to us. It wasn't a theory. They're trying to downplay that also. Don't teach my children CRT. Why you don't want your children to know your history? I thought you was good people. I thought you was angels. Why wouldn't you want you to know your history? The truth. Let's move on to the program, brothers and sisters. We're calling this the Genghis Khan Genesis. Now, what is that about? You see, we got this character called Elijah Muhammad. He was on the scene for about 40-some years, from the 30s to the 70s. And he had this history that a lot of people contest. They say, oh, no, that's bullshit. So we're going to look into this history, see if there's any truth to it. See if it is bullshit. See? Is there any evidence? Because we want evidence here. We want proof. This is no bullshit zone. You got to prove it here. So let's lay this dog to rest. Let's find out whether it's real or not. Is there any evidence? We need evidence, brothers and sisters. We don't need just somebody's philosophy, somebody's idea. Let's see if there's any evidence, not just physical evidence, something we can touch, something that's tangible, something you can see. So how does his story go? Okay, let's examine his story. Okay, according to Elijah Muhammad, he said that his teacher, Master Muhammad, up there on the right, taught him that there was this scientist called Dr. Yaqub, 6,000 years ago. We had this idea to make a special type of people that would rule for 6,000 years. And he convinced, 60,000 followers, something along those lines, to go along with him. He didn't tell them the process of what he was going to accomplish this. He just told them that he was going to make them rulers of the planet for 6,000 years. So they went along with him, and they went to a special place, and he started his process. And it took 600 years to complete the process. Now, according to Elijah Muhammad, he called it grafting. He said that the people that worked with him, they was all black, right? These all black people. That there wasn't any white people on the planet at the time. No white people on the planet at the time. No Caucasian people on the planet at the time. So he said the black person had two germs in him, a black germ and a brown germ. So he says Dr. Yaqub isolated the brown germ, and then by process of grafting, which nowadays we would probably call it genetic engineering, he emphasized the recessive and suppressed the dominant. Because you have dominant genes, repressive genes. And the dominant genes are the black genes, the repressive genes, right, are the white genes. So he emphasized the recessive, right, and suppressed the dominant until eventually, after 600 years, they produce what we see Caucasian white people. He said that's how they came to be. Now, Dr. Yaqub didn't live through the whole process. He initiated it, he gave instructions, right? They followed his procedures until the end. He said it was a 600-year process. Now, let's examine that. Is there any proof to that? Is that real? Well, one question I always had in my mind was, how would they know when to stop the process? At what point do they know, we achieved our goal? They could keep on, emphasizing the recessive and suppressing the dominant. How would they know at what point when to stop? That was always a question in my mind. So, well, obviously, I mean, you have to stop when the people that was being produced was no more viable. Now you got Farrakhan, he's ignorant, he's stupid. He tried to interpret that, and he said, well, that's where brown people came from, that's where yellow people came from, so forth. But he said after 200 years, right, they had all brown people. And they escaped. Then after 200 years, and that's stupid within itself, think about it. And after 200 years later, you had yellow people. See? They escaped. After 200 years, they had the white people, right? And that was the end of the project. So following that idea, well, if all the brown people left, then what was they working with? How did they get the yellow people? I mean, they had to have brown people there to get the yellow people. And that's part of the process, right? I mean, that right on the face, that don't make any sense. But anyway, that's his version. So we get back to the question again, how did they know when to stop? How would they know when to stop? Well, let me something right here real quick. Well, obviously, when the people were no more viable anymore, because in other words, they weren't capable of ruling. I mean, it wasn't viable. It wasn't intelligent, right? Because you keep on doing it. I mean, which and eventually, right, you become something less than human, I would think. So, wow, how would they know when to stop? Okay, well, let's postulate here. Let's just look at something. Try to do some reason here. Because Dr. Yaqub went there, and he had never seen a Caucasian person. No one ever seen one. They had no idea what they were going to look like. Right? All they knew is they were going to be end result of this process of grafting or genetic engineering. How do they know when to stop? Okay. So at some point, the product will become not viable anymore. They'd be less intelligent, so they could not rule. So that's the purpose of these people, is to rule. So they wouldn't be mentally capable of doing that. Okay? They would be retarded mentally relative to everyone else. So when you start getting to that, where the people are no longer viable, then you have to stop. Because, I mean, what will be the point? You don't stop when you get one, you get a whole bunch of them. You say, well, that's all we're going to get after. That's from now on, that's all we're going to get. Once you make a determination, oh, well, okay, that's all we're going to get now. We can't go any further than we are now. Because that's what we're going to get is people that's not viable. So what you do with those people, you get rid of them, destroy them. You could. Or maybe you might take them and move them, all of them, move them away from civilization, as far away from civilization as possible, because they could not compete or defend themselves from other civilizations, because they're less capable mentally. They're not viable. So their mental level would be much less than everybody else. Maybe on the 6th grade level, maybe on the 3rd grade level. Now they still be human. I mean, they look human and everything, but they wouldn't be viable. Their intelligence level would be less than normal. But that's why you have to stop, because I mean, that's not what you want. So you take them. You have to move them far away from civilization, because they would be dominated by anybody that they came in contact with. So if you're going to take them and put them there, you got to teach them the basic rules of survival on the level that they can understand. I mean, I would think so, right? So they would be capable of manufacturing and stuff, right? They still have to eat. They have to teach some kind of way to get food, right? So maybe you might teach them simple farming, like rice farming. What they got to do is just go in and stump, right, in the rice. You might teach them simple utensils, like maybe 2 sticks, because they couldn't manufacture forks and stuff. So give them 2 twigs, right, so they could pick up their food with. You might do something like that, right? They couldn't hunt. So maybe you have to give them domesticated dogs, because they're gonna stick around and they're not gonna run away unless they know you're gonna eat them. And then you got meat, you got rice, you got your pickup sticks or whatever. Think about it. Maybe as far north as possible. And so you have to teach them some form of communication. So what kind of communication is a 5th, 6th, 3rd grade child capable of? What they give you in a 3rd grade, 2nd grade, right? Picture language? Yeah, see, that's mommy, picture mommy. You can't write mommy, you can't write yet. So you write pictures. Here's a picture of mommy, here's a picture of daddy, right? Here's a picture of daddy playing golf, picture of daddy driving his car, right? So that's how you communicate, with pictures. Until you learn the alphabet, learn how to write, read and write, but use pictures, communicate with pictures. See? You understand? So, could something like that happen? Did something like that happen? Is there any evidence of that? anywhere in the world? Any evidence at all? Let's look around the world. See, we're looking for people that love dog because that's their main meat supply. And rice is their primary diet. They don't use utensils. They use pickup sticks. And they don't have an alphabet. They got picture language. Is there anybody like that in the world? Is there any place in the world like that? And they would be far north away from civilization. Is there anybody like that? Anywhere in the world? Because if there is, there will be evidence that Elijah Muhammad maybe told the truth. Now, we do find people in many cultures, right, that they used to call retarded, right? That's less than, has retarded mental capabilities. But there's one strange thing about them. They all look alike. No matter whether they're black, yellow, green, whatever, they all have the same appearance. They all have similar facial features. Similar, all of them. Because you can always recognize them. So maybe these people we're looking for, maybe they might look something like them. Since they're on a lower mental capability, maybe they look like them. Because they used to call retarded people, before they started calling them retarded, what's that name they called them? Mongoloids? Why would they call them Mongoloids? Why would they call them Mongoloids? Why? Because they look similar to the Mongols? Wow, they do. They do look similar in appearance. So let's look at those Mongols and maybe they can help us find these people we're looking for. See? Let's see if they know anybody that use 2 sticks to eat with. Do you know anybody that rice farmers? Do you know anybody that's picture language? Let's examine it. Let's ask questions. Let's go look. Because if they do, then we found the people we're looking for. See? And, oh, they're the ones we're looking for. And, wow, they're called Mongols. Mongols. And they look just like the Mongoloids. They have similar appearance. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That must be a hell of a coincidence. Because that's proof that Elijah Muhammad was telling the truth. It's right there in plain sight. It's proof he was telling the truth. But there they are. You say, well, their intelligence level is a little higher. Well, it depends on who you're talking to. You know, you got different cultures. You got Korea, you got China, you got Vietnam, so forth, right? And they have different levels of intelligence, but they all have similar cultures, right? But they're surrounded by other countries that went and took advantage and raped their women and raised their intelligence level. But otherwise, that's a hell of a coincidence where it's evidence. Because why do you call them Mongoloids? Why would they call what they call gifted people now, or mentally challenged people? Why did they used to call them Mongols? And why did they stop doing it? Because it seemed like they stopped doing it once Elijah Muhammad came and told that story. Because somebody saw that connection themselves. So we got to clean this up. Because that's evidence he's telling the truth. That we result of Dr. Yaqub's project of 6,000 years ago. We came to existence through that process. And they're proof of it. They're like the afterbirth. They're the proof of it. So we got to kill that because we don't want anybody to know that that's the truth. We don't want anybody to know that. That's how we came to be. That Elijah Muhammad's telling the truth. His history is correct. So they stopped calling them Mongoloids. Started calling them retarded. Then he went from there to mentally challenged. Now I think it's gifted or something. Think about it, brothers and sisters. The Genghis Khan Genesis. If that's not how they came to be, how did they come to be? I mean, is that evidence? Tell me, brothers and sisters, is that evidence? We look for evidence. There's no bullshit zone. Picture language. You know, they don't have alphabet over there. They have picture language. You have to learn 50,000 characters in order to read Chinese. Mandarin. You know the alphabet. They have a character for man, a character for woman, a character for cow, a character for dog. They kind of cleaned up the symbols now since the modern age. But you go back far enough, you actually see a symbol for a woman, a symbol for a man, a symbol for a dog. See, you got these people out here say, well, Elijah Muhammad just lied. Okay, well, he lied about that. You have an alternative explanation? You lie about that? I don't know. If we find some evidence to me. And that makes that brings to light a lot of other things. Genghis Khan Genesis. That's what we're told. So I leave it up to you. We're not trying to convince you of anything. We're not trying to tell you anything here. We just provide information. Like I said, we just go on a little journey here. Journey to discovery. Just try to see if anything Elijah Muhammad said was the truth. Was he just lying to us or just making up stuff? Is there any evidence? Because we don't accept anything here unless you can make proof. Everything evidence. And then we look at this carefully and looks like evidence to me, because if it is, and that's proof of their existence, how they came to be, how the Europeans came to be. And they don't want you to see it like that, but that's evidence, unless it's some kind of coincidence, some horrible coincidence. It's the evidence. That means Elijah Muhammad told the truth about that. And they're the ones that's lying. This evolution stuff. You know, brothers and sisters, you've been scammed, lied to us since you've been here. And this evolution thing is one of the biggest scams in history. And you don't pay attention to it. You got Negro butts running around here, demons. Come on, they believe in evolution. They don't realize the put down of you. Because the bottom line of evolution is, what is it? Survival of the fittest? The last is the best? Because this process is a process of evolving. That's what it evolves. The process of evolving. That means move from one state to another, from one state to another, one state to another, continuously. That's what it is. So those that are evolving, they keep moving to a higher level. Those that's not evolving anymore, they stay in the state they are. So they're not evolving anymore. They're outside that process. They're not part of the evolutionary process anymore. So that's the definition of animal. When you're not part of the evolutionary process anymore, that's animal according to evolution. because you're not evolving anymore. You must continue to evolve to higher and higher levels. So if you understand that, then that means the first is the worst and last is the best. Because they're still evolving, that's the best. That evolved from, right? It's not evolving anymore, it's animal. Because they evolved past that, and so they left, like they claim, we evolved from the ape. So we evolved, and ape remained the ape. So it's not evolving anymore. It's never going to evolve. It's going to stay forever. So it's animal. So what evolution telling you? They're saying, oh, well, Caucasians evolved from us. That means that those of us that kept evolving became Caucasian. Those that stopped evolving is us. We still black, we still stupid, we still ignorant. That's what they're telling you. They're telling you, you're animal now. You're 3/5 human because you didn't keep evolving. That's evidence because you're still black. Because we evolved past that. Now we white. We kept evolving. So you're not evolving anymore. But eventually we're going to do the same thing to you that we did to other ancestors. You know other ancestors? You know who they are? The gorillas, the apes. That's supposed to be our ancestors according to the revolution. But why they put our ancestors in cages and beating them and testing them and experimenting on them? That's our ancestors according to them. And so that's be our fate too, because they still evolving. So at some point they're evolving so far ahead of us, right? That they just look back at us, we're just an animal. And some of them look at us like that now. You got Negro butts and terror butts and demons and everything repeating this BS. And the Negro butts don't understand what they say. Terror butts may. That you reduce to an animal in that theory, evolutionary theory. But you're not evolving anymore. Yeah, we came from black people. Remember they said we came from apes too. Oh, they're not celebrating apes, are they? They put them in cages. That's where they're going to put you. They already had you in cages. See? So maybe they have plans to put you back in there. Still not free, still on the plantation. You understand, brothers and sisters? If we look for evidence, and I think we found it. I'm sure we found it, because that's no coincidence. That's where Elijah Muhammad was correct. So then they had to go right away, full throttle, to clean all that up. Clean it up. No one talks about it. First time you heard about it, I talk about it is myself. In plain sight, right there. Plain sight. That could mean everything else Elijah Muhammad said was true also. But this is true. Everybody mocked him, oh man. Now we got evidence. So examine the evidence to see if it's true or not. Examine the evidence, determine whether it's true or not. We explain it, we show you the evidence. You go research it for yourself. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Evolution is a trick. Everything they tell you is a trick, it's a lie. Revelation, that's a trick, telling you that's the future. It already happened. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Mongoloids. Genghis Khan, Genesis. Okay, brothers and sisters, I think I'm going to close out here. I think I'm going to close out my audio audience. Allow me for a second. Thank you, audio audience, for listening. This is Black Alert segment of the Fire Zone. Thank you for listening. Fire Zone out. And to my video audience, you, thanks for listening. Assalamu alaikum.